If you're thinking about taking a grown-up gap year, if you're thinking about taking a year for yourself to travel, to learn a new skill, then this video is for you. Or maybe you're considering taking a grown-up gap year, but you're not sure that it's actually possible for you. You see people talking about it on Instagram and it sounds interesting, but you're not even sure that it's something that you can actually do. And this video is for you too. Today, I'm going to tell you about the first steps to take to get you from having a dream to having a plan. But first, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. I took a grown-up gap year. I quit my job to see the world when I was 41. I traveled to 12 countries in 12 months. Now I'm a full-time house sitter, and my video series on YouTube, Grown-Up Gap Year A to Z, explains everything that you need to know to take your own grown-up gap year. Make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and make sure that you ring the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post my next video. Okay, I call it a grown-up gap year, but it definitely doesn't have to be a full year. You can do a gap summer, you can do a gap 7 weeks between one job and the next, whatever amount of time you feel comfortable with and that you have. But just know that throughout the video, I'm going to call it a gap year just because it's easier to say. To help you with your planning, I've got a worksheet that you can download to help you get this all written out. You'll just put it on paper and make it official. You don't have to print this out because I know printer ink is a scam. So you don't have to print it out. You can just download it and fill it in. It's a PDF document. Link to that is in the description box, so make sure you get that. We can walk through it as we go. Okay, so we're going to take you from a dream to a plan in 3 steps. When I talk about a grown-up gap year, most people assume that I'm talking about quitting your job to travel the world. That's what I did. That's what a lot of people's definition of a gap year would be, but it doesn't have to mean that you're going to be traveling. It's just a year break from work. Some people do it in between jobs. Some people do it after a layoff. It's like a mini retirement. And you can take that time to do whatever you want. That's the point. There's no judgment here. If you want to take the year off to test hammocks all over the world, if you want to take the year off to visit meditation retreats or become a yoga teacher.
If you want to take the year off to write a book, if you want to take the year off to make a movie, I'm just listing things.
Whatever you want to do, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about your dreams here, okay? That brings us to step 1. Step 1 is goals. Take some time and completely list out your goals for the year. Don't hold back. Don't edit yourself. Don't leave things out just because you think it sounds crazy or it sounds ridiculous. And also don't limit yourself to a year. If it's a goal that will take you longer than a year, but it's something that you want to get started during the gap year, that's fine. Add it in. Once you get your full list out, pay special attention to the items on your list that really speak to you. Those things that when you read them, when you say them out loud, make your heart beat faster. Put a special emphasis on those things. Bill Gates said most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. So it's okay to overestimate what you're going to do during the gap year. It's just important to get it out. Come up with a firm list, something that you don't want to finish your gap year without having accomplished. This is the theme of your gap year. Write out that theme. Give it a cool nickname if you can think of one, and commit to yourself that you're going to accomplish this thing. So get your gap year goal down on paper. Flexibility is the name of the game. We're in this for the freedom, and so I don't feel like you have to have everything solidly locked down. Okay. But once you have an idea of your gap year theme, of what your goal is for this period of time, it's time to do some analysis. It's time to figure out what you need to get started that you don't have today. You don't have to figure out the exact, like for example, dollar amount that you would need to travel to 12 countries, but it's time to at least figure out that you need money, you need accommodation, you need a passport, So everything that you can think of that you would need to get started, go ahead and write that down. If your gap year is about writing your memoir, maybe you need to learn how to write a memoir. Maybe you at least need to find a writing coach. By the way, I happen to know a writing coach. She's a friend of mine. I'll link to her in the description box. But write down the things that you need. Sometimes in our heads, we overestimate the barriers. We overestimate here are the reasons that I can't do it. And it's so easy to let them take over and let them be in charge. They're not in charge of our future. Those what ifs do not run me. They don't run you. So get them down on paper, and it makes them seem a little less daunting. Once you have a checklist, I live by checklists. Once you have a checklist, then you know what steps you need to take, even if you don't know every step. As long as you know what the next step is, it makes it much more tangible, much more real, and much more possible. And I want this to definitely seem possible to you. I'm talking really excitedly, but it's because I'm really excited for you. Okay, now we're on to the final step, step 3 in the first steps that you need to take to plan your own grown-up gap year. The final step is parallel thinking. I think you'll be surprised when I say this, but I think that the biggest holdup for people who want to take a grown-up gap year but don't do it is not the money. And I'm not brushing off money. In fact, I'm doing a video in the A to Z series. Video H is about money, how to get the money. And so make sure, like I said, that you're subscribed and that you hit that notification bell, and you'll receive notification when I post that video. But I don't think money is the final barrier. I think that the real barrier is just procrastination. It's just the idea that it's okay. Once you start planning and once you start thinking about it, it's so easy to just say, okay, but I'll do it later. I've planned this thing, but I'm not ready to do it now. I'm just going to put it off another year. I'm going to put it off another semester. I'm going to put it off for a little bit longer. And so the best way that I know to combat this idea of perpetual planning is to tie the start of your big thing, your grown-up gap year or whatever project you're starting. Tie the start of it to another event. So you could tie it to your 40th birthday. You could say, I want to celebrate my 40th birthday in Bali, which is, I recommend it. And then you know that you have to be out of the house by that date. I wanted to hit the Loy Krathong Festival in Chiang Mai, Thailand, which is like the Lantern Festival. It's beautiful. I wanted to hit that in 2015, and I knew that it was happening in October, so I had to be out of the house before October. And I made it. So connect the start of your gap year to another significant event. Seriously, that will help you do it, to get started and do it, and stop just planning and planning and planning. Okay, so in 3 steps, you've gone from taking your gap year from a dream to a plan. It's now something on paper that you can work towards and get done. When I did this exercise myself back in 2014, when I started planning my own grown-up gap year, my statement went something like this: I will spend a year volunteering in Southeast Asia starting September 2015. That's it. That's what took me from a dream to a plan. And from there, I found out how much everything was going to cost and found volunteer opportunities, which I talk about a little bit in my affordability video. So click the link up there if you'd like to watch that. And my dream became a reality. All right. So once you get your gap year statement together, let me know. Tell me in the comments or reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter @Vicarious. What did you come up with? What's your plan? And remember to stay tuned for your next steps. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.